this is Sensei Dan from Aim High Martial Arts, and for today's video I'm going to be doing something slightly different. I'm just going to sort of do 100 rotations of weapons. I'm just going to be mucking around. These aren't going to be practical movements at all. But what I'm trying to do is showing a difference between four different swords, four different short swords that is, and the difference between things that were built for show, just to stick on the mantelpiece, and ones that are built for combat. Well, at least not even for combat, just for say practice combat, because you don't really fight to the death these days with swords. Very rarely that's going to happen. So the first one we're going to start with is this one here. Now this is a showpiece. It's quite sharp at the end, well, a little bit. So we're going to sort of see how this moves. And this is just sort of mucking around with the blade, just seeing it feels very top heavy. Look, I'm about to lose control of my grip on it. So it's very hard for me to sort of control that. And I'm also conscious I might wreck my lampshade or smash something beside me. Very top heavy weapon. And it's got a very nasty pommel on it. That's the pommel. And I'll show you why in a second that particular pommel is nasty. And though it looks nice, I mean it does look like a nice sort of sword, and it's well made in some regards. You can even see the embellishments here, like where they've put the design work, but it's horrible to train with, and you feel that you're going to lose control of the weapon at any point. It's heavy and slow, and it's, you know, it sort of swings you around with it, and you don't really control it. It's got the weight of a long sword and a short sword, and when you look at it, I'll show you what's horrible about the handle of the pommel in a second. It's that there, when you rotate it, it digs into your hand like that, really viciously. Totally impractical, totally dangerous. You'd never be able to even train the thin air with this, because the minute you strike forward, it digs straight into the bone of your hand here. Not good to train with. So that's sword one. Sword two, this is much lighter, much more practical. This is quite a common made one, designed on a Celtic leaf sword. It's loose, it's nice, it's a nice weight, moves smoothly, and you can control it quite easy. And it's got these lovely grips at the bottom, so if you start losing control, that frame catches on your fingers, so it's really quite nice for controlling the weapon, except there is one downside to this sword. Again, just like the other one, this bit here digs into the wrist. So any kind of rotation movement, you have to almost let go of the weapon, and even like a direct sort of body cut like that will dig right into the hand there. So again, there's probably, probably would use it differently from the way I am at the moment. Probably use long swings like this, but you wouldn't use short-cut controlled swings like that, because you'd find that they would tend to sort of snag on your wrist a bit. So either that, or it's designed for someone with smaller hands, or designed in a sort of different way. I think it is a replica of a legitimate one, but it may just be that the bottom part is too big here. But you know, it's still nice to look at, nice design. It was good value for money when I bought it. Some sort of nice work's gone into the actual development and embellishments. Right, third one is one that this is slightly better to work with, the best of all three so far. And this one is this one's handle's designed better because these bits don't dig in. It's a longer handle, and it's made with enamel. And the only thing about it is it's kind of heavy, moves a lot faster than the other ones. Even when you reverse cut like this. Oh, it's not actually a cut, but you know what I mean. But the only thing about it is, and it's starting to tie my arm out now, is that the actual thing, the weapon tends to rotate and sort of does this as you spin it. So it's very hard to hold it on its axis. So if you lost control and you had to do that movement, you could end up doing it flat of the blade like that, rather than the edge of the blade like that. So that's one of the sort of downfalls of this sort of weapon. But this one is practical to train with, as the previous one. You can do stop cuts with it quite nicely. But you can also do swinging motion. And those big swinging motions are there for a reason. A lot of the Romans sort of close contact sort of movements. It's all to do with Celtic individualism as why those movements developed, and also developed in the style of the sword. It was based on individual prowess, and because it's based on me being strong and me being powerful kind of concept, that people would take bigger hacks and more powerful shots with their weapons, so they couldn't fight in packed units. So hence the weapon was designed for hard swings and hard cuts. So if you manage to get a decent wound on someone, you can actually make sure that they were cut well rather than just nipped a little bit. Whereas the Roman system was packed tight together, a lot more thrusting, so that you can use it for thrusting, but it isn't designed for thrusting like a gladius would be. So that's another leaf sword that is quite good in that regard. Now this is the best weapon, yet it looks the worst out of the lot of them. It was handmade by me in my reenactment days, and unlike the rest of them, this one's sharp. It used to be blunt, but this one's sharp. And now this one is the easiest to move. It's got a loose guard, quillen is it called? I don't know. Guard. But this one moves the best, and it naturally flows in whichever way you want it to move, and there's no dig from the handle because the pommel is small. This was handmade many years ago, and you can see it's rusted quite badly, so it needs a makeover. But this is a railway track. I think this is a railway track, bit of sprung steel, or something from a car. It's either it's a train brake or something, or a car brake, because it's got a slight curve in it that we almost grind it out with. But it's sort of. I spent years working on this weapon. Well, not years. I spent about 2 years working on it, and never produced anything that nice to look at. But it actually moves as a weapon to train with. When it was used in the reenactments, it was actually very good to sort of fight with, because it could move really well. It had enough weight where it was needed. So if you blocked with it, because of the thickness of it, you had enough impact. The only problem was it was a short sword. And the thing is, when you're short like I am, a short sword is not the best sort of weapon to sort of use, but it moves really lovely. And when you it's very smooth to move with. The only thing it has got now is the string is worn away there, so it loses some of its grip up here, which makes it quite painful on the fingers. But you'll sort of see that if I repair that and rebind it, that'll have like a nice, more comfortable feel. And you don't feel like you're holding a metal bar with the bits of strings around it. So there you go. I think that's my 100 rotations. I don't know, I won't count them. Thought you might find that interesting as a video. So there's 4 different short swords, 4 different makes and purposes of them all. And there we go.